looks good, I think. Everything's in place, right? And pencil. And one more button. There we go. Alright, where were we? That's right, let's get our bridge out. All those work to make stuff, might as well use it, right? Of course, as usual, you know, if there's any questions, do let me know. I don't mind talking while working, but kind of people come and go, so it's harder to kind of maintain conversation sometimes. So if there's any thoughts or questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Hopefully everyone's having a good weekend. That's better up there. What might help is actually to get that out. It's just behind me. Where my dog ran off to. Should be around here somewhere. That lined up. Not sure that's lined up. Then I can use that a little bit more. Get the T-square in there, right? Something to pivot off of. There we go. last of the leftover coffee's gone. What do we got there? Oh look, it hasn't updated in a while. There we go. That explains why I don't see anything. Good morning, mate. Take it you're on the other side of the globe. Assuming you're still there. How's it going, Zonayama? Is that Hole Zone? I gotta find that tiny ellipse thing. I think that would be handy to have. Good evening. Hey, is that Giovanni Du Ringling? Mr. Weissman. That's where it's not showing up over there. Double check that. Working on all the motion graphics. Did you see the Ian Hubert released another episode of his Blender series? Might be really interesting for you guys over there. Let's see, currently modeling 65 Impala. Oh, there you go. You gotta soup up that Impala. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ian Hubert, but he's really famous for all of his Blender stuff. I put that where I can see it. Yeah, he's been doing this Dynamo Dreams series, and I guess he filmed them out a long time ago, like the actual filming parts of most of the actors. But he's been working on the visual effects for like 10 years on these things. Anyway, he started releasing them, I think, a couple years ago. He put out like one episode, and then another one, I don't know, a year or so ago, and then he just put out one this week. So there's a brand new Ian Hubert Dynamo Dreams. Anyway, I saw a guy breaking down how I guess he's created a plugin called Compify, and it basically converts the video mesh, as long as it's pretty flat lit. It kind of negates a lot of the lighting in it, and then it kind of treats as if it's got no lighting on it. So when you put your own lighting in, it'll automatically generate correct looking lighting in there. That's free. So yeah, the single point in space one, people really like that one. It's like a spaceship guy. Guy in a spaceship, he's in some kind of other dimension or something. He's trying to get back. A lot of crazy movement in the ship and all that. But yeah, he's kind of a lot of his modeling style is very kit-bashed approach. So he's kind of slamming textures into things. There's people that'll break down kind of his approach. He's got a lot of little short tutorials on his own YouTube, but people kind of break down his shorts and kind of point out how he's constructing all the craziness that's going on in them. Ah, look at that. So many students. Just think, in a few years, I won't have anybody there except the teachers. Maybe. So you want to keeping track of cobras? Yeah. Whichever was the... She told me she hadn't seen it until she went home one time for winter break. She'd never noticed them before. Hasn't been keeping count. Well, it's worth keeping count. I saw a guy giving a cobra some water the other day on Instagram. I think it was on Twitter. He was hand feeding a cobra some water with like a spray bottle or something. Like you see all these videos of park rangers or something keeping track, playing around with giant, the big cats like lions and leopards, and all it has to do is be one of those days when that leopard feels like having a little snack, and that's that. But they don't tend to show those ones very often. Just the ones where makes them seem like like they're perfectly safe animals to have around the house. This is what everybody's junior year, right? Starting to be the old people on campus. It's always a scary spot to be in. Ah. Jag de Shanghai ni då Losing your hair. Yeah, I think Ed had mentioned they had planned on doing that. I'm not sure where they would put the drawing room now, but I remember Ed mentioning that they were going to you were looking at turning that room into a computer lab. They just needed more computers, but right. And Fiona's dad still has a job, I assume. But you got to get those. And as long as you squeeze by on those employment reviews every year, it should be okay. I'm going to Lightbox out in Pasadena this October, so I'm excited for that. Check that out, finally, in person. I heard the other drawing teacher, he's gone to California, Hunter. So that's interesting. I'm actually very excited about my table here. For those that are nerd out by art supplies, but it's a giant drafting table. It's like 6 feet long, and it's a nice one. It's actually they're normally like $600 or something. I got it for $100 from some drafting construction company or something, and I went and found a place called Metal Mart, and I got a big piece of steel that I put on top, and so now I got all kinds of magnets for like a drawing bridge or other. I've got like a supports for my wrist if I'm using a sketchbook. Drop magnets all over the thing for holding stuff there. And I think it's pretty fancy to have that. I don't use all. It's hard to use all the space, but I can distribute stuff around where I'm working. And surprised that it's not something I've ever heard of people doing. The wood pieces here are left over from my truck project, so this is like some of the cabinetry from my Xterra, which is essentially done now. So I'm done really. I mean, I'm adding like little things here and there, but I did a little blitz this summer to kind of finish it off. When my dog hurt himself, I was stuck at home for a bit, so he's okay now, but he cracked a nail, of all things to do, all the way to the quick, and so he was hurting pretty good. It's just before we were about to go out on like an epic little road trip, so I had to cancel that. But I had to get him in to see the vet late at night, and a little surgery to kind of trim his nail back and put him under anesthetic for that, of course. And he was in a bandage for a few days and painkillers for a week. So I kind of took that time where I couldn't do anything to work on the truck stuff. And basically finished off all the stuff I wanted to put in. There's a lot of like little tweaks and things I want to do, but I can put that on hold for now. Let's see. That's right, I was needing to move some of this text around. What about that? Nothing there. Have a good night. Good luck getting your projects done. Everyone lives in the labs now, I hope. So, alright. It's the place to be. on a Saturday night. Alright, where's that text? Alright, let's see if we can get this figured out. I think I gotta move this up here. And move this over here. I think we can start with that. Quite long enough for that. Remove this. Oops. There you go. That should be helpful. And I just need my lettering guide. Up there. Wither. There it is. Got it. So I'm going to bring this up closer. There. That should be the spacer. Alright, we're in a desert, walking along in the sand wind. We're in walking along. Walking along when alright, now I gotta move you over there. Do that. Is this the the test it now? Move this over there. Good times. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 lines for that, one for the other. guess. Ah, I'm back here. Good evening. What do we got there? Is this VCU open figure drawing? Just sneaking in and out. Yeah, I should probably just redo those. All right. Yes. I didn't move something, did I? No, I don't think so. Just feels a little tighter, I guess. Doesn't walking along in the sand. Come on. Alright, that's better. Getting better. Good evening, everybody popping in. This is the test now. Looking down. What one? I'll probably go right here. Up here may be good. Backwards. Put it right there. Alright, what one? Good evening. What one? What? Right there. desert. Alright. Where are you going? Don't fall down. And get tied up. Gah, come on. There we go. Completely hypothetical. Outcome might be there. And I'll put the other one down here. Thank you, Miguel. Getting some of this lettering in this top one to make sure it fits. Oh, there's a doggy down there. How's my dog? Oh, thank you. Felt this thumping under my feet, and there's a little dog under my feet, so it's always a surprise. To be by yourself. Alright, a couple more lines there. Says a lot. He has a lot of really great Brazilian artists, right? I'm a big fan of the guy who did the what's it called? Got it over there. Low by Greg Tocchini or Tocchini. I'm not sure how they say it in Portuguese. Since no falo Portuguese. But he's definitely a favorite. There's a lot of other pretty solid ones I think out there. This is me kind of learning comic stuff too, because I've never really done it before. So, maybe like a little dabbling when I was a kid or something, but nothing sustained. Make sure I've got all these set up. So I pulled out a script. This is from Blade Runner. And illustrating the first scene of the movie. So I'm using the actual script to reference. Alright, down and C. So that letter's wandering away, huh? U down C. A tortoise. hits. Crawling toward you. Those ones are great too. I've got the script. I'm really familiar with the movie, but I don't want to draw the movie exactly. I just want to draw the scene. So I'm not looking at the actors or the sets. I want to make my own. So I'm just using the script. The script kind of describes the original script. It describes the kind of the bad guy in here a little bit differently. But then he shows up in the movie, so he's supposed to be really big. But I'm crawling toward you. A tortoise, what's that? I need 2 lines down here. So yeah, trying to make it my own thing. I've never done one of these before, so this is kind of an experiment. I've been reading up a bunch over the last few months on some of this stuff, and decided it was time to get started. Doing the hand lettering too, as you can see. I felt like the text is a little small, but when I read up on it, it says that's the correct size. I do feel like there's a difference between this, and I'm not sure what the difference is. The tortoise was that. Something's up with this headphone connection. Sometimes it kind of stops on me. Tortoise, what's that? Okay. Of course, same thing. turtle. Let's see, that's too far forward. Yeah, no problem. Let me know if there's any question as you're drawing or any topics you're curious about. Alright. Let's see if we can get that organized. It's like a fly came upstairs. That's no good. Oh, you're in both places, huh, Miguel? See, you popped in over there on the YouTube side. This one should be on top, huh? How's the view over on the YouTube side? Actually, I should check and see if it's nice and sharp. If I can sharpen that up a little bit. Too much. There we go. Alright, is this the test now? Yes, you're walking in a desert. One. Alright, is it the same? Maybe we'll get that a little bit bigger. Since I'm working up there, I should probably pull this up over there. Alright, what desert? Doesn't make any difference. Good evening, everybody popping in. Good evening. I appreciate that. Good evening. Oh, have a good night. Alright, got everybody there, I think. Alright. Alright, let's see. Alright, let's move down a level here. Hey, puppy. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good evening out there. I'm probably on for another 45 minutes or so. Let's look at Tubertus. There we go. Good evening. Ah. Good evening. I missed out on all the lettering I was doing tonight. It's very exciting stuff. That's what gets me the views. You missed out on a minor flood of my former students at Ringling coming in to say hello. What do you think? Got an upside down turtle and an eye thing going on here. What's going on with these headphones? No. Definitely not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Though, this movie came out around the same time. Well, before they were out, I think, in print. Ooh, somebody guessed right. Gah. Something's up with these headphones. I have to hardwire them in, but they're sometimes a little finicky. I'm not like angled just right. No, they're not working at all. But yeah, it's Blade Runner. This is for practice. I'm taking original script. What is going on with these headphones? Did that do anything? Well, it's for practice, so I got a hold of the script. I've never really done comic stuff before, so I wanted to give it a try because of another project I'm working on. So I wanted to, before I go with the project, I'm working on a little concept portfolio project I've been developing for a while, and I'm still working on it. But as I've been working on it, I've been thinking of stories, but I've never really done like a comic book before. I thought that'd be a good place to put them. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to do a few of these, pencil these up, and ink them, maybe color them, and then do a few of them, see how it goes, and then try it. I'm working on my own little story script at the same time, and so while I'm developing that, it'll help to do this. Working on the portfolio project and the script and the story and all that, the characters I want to do. I feel like the audio finally settled down a bit. So yeah, I printed out the script and kind of roughed it out, and then threw it together. Yeah, and if they want me to do a whole one, that'd be great, but I'm not looking for that necessarily. So this is where Leon is being interviewed. They're running the Voight-Kampff test on him. So it's the opening scene of the movie, and tells him he's looking in the desert, and he flips over a tortoise in the desert, and this eventually really upsets Leon because he's not used to having complex emotions. Leon is a replicant. Yeah. I've got F lead in here. I noticed Jim Lee uses this pencil. I was like, they have like, you can find some of his live streams on YouTube. He used to live stream on Twitch a little bit. But saw him using it. Oh, that's interesting. But it's like I have that pencil too. All right. That's a good pencil. I don't hear Mika complaining about it. But I wish, you know, the categories where you can switch the lead type in here. It doesn't have F. It just has H, HB, and B. And I'm using the F stuff since it's got the. It's more for drafting. Let's get that lined up. Maybe bigger. Yeah, so that's what kind of working on here. I thought I did work on this. Be a good thing to do in the evening. And kind of push this forward. I started it back in, I think, June originally. And then had to kind of put it on pause for a bit. But trying to actively get it done. Get it lined up right there. Yeah, I thought, you know, one, you know, if I'm gonna do it for myself, I'd like to do. I mean, most of my concept stuff, of course, is all digital. You know, I'm doing a lot with, or am going to do a lot more with 3D. But you know, if I can. Do it all with pencil. In fact, I'm hand lettering this. See how that goes. But you know, I have a background in all traditional media, going back to grad school especially. Yeah, it's well, there's, you know, one of the things that you kind of lose out on if you only ever do digital is there's a lot of kind of refinement of hand skills that, you know, if you rely strictly on the digital, you kind of miss out on recognizing that they're there, because they're in the digital too. But digital work, you know, will cover a great many mistakes. Let's see, where was that one? Get the centers on a mark to make my life a little bit easier. And so you kind of you lose out on that awareness of how things work. Yeah, like real comic paper, like this is actually printer paper I'm working on right now. Yeah. Also, yeah. There's also, if you do it professionally, you can sell your originals, right? Have heard of digital illustrators like doing one in one, like one. They only do one print of something or something like that. And I'm like, that's fine, I guess. But still not quite the same. And honestly, it's. I think it's more fun to do the traditional stuff. Let's see, how's that off so much? Personally, I like it more. And then there's just something about the craft, right, where you're able to express yourself. The other thing I've been thinking about lately too, because my regular job is a teacher. So I teach at university, professor, etc. And but one of the things that I kind of think about a lot is we oh, hello, welcome back. A little late over in Greece for a grease monkey to be up. But one of the things I've been thinking about is I think the more, especially with the way, the effect that AI has had on certain things, is I think the more you kind of make things digital, or the less analog things become, I think it kind of gets rid of the personality of the person. I think there's a loss of opportunity for design. I recognize the thing there, but yeah, I think there's often a depersonalization, a de-individualization of the work when digital is kind of the focus. Because even even if you're using textured brushes and things, I think you kind of get to a point sometimes where the personality can get lost a lot very easily, and I think it devalues what the artist or designer contributes to a project. Other thing I think I've been thinking about too is, and this has been for a while now, but I think when you lower the skill level needed to get into a profession, so like concept art, right? There's a lot of people doing concept art now. There used to be very, very few, because it was very, very difficult. You had people worked in gouache, they worked with marker and pen, they worked with airbrushes and acrylic paint, and all of that. And I think as part of that, the quality of the minds that it required to do that work was much, much higher. So that, a concept artist like, say, Sid Mead, had to learn all these different skills and have all this knowledge, which meant that, whatever natural abilities he had were increased greatly by the skills he needed to develop in order to do his job. And I think when you lower that requirement, you must absolutely lower the quality of minds going into that work. I think it's unavoidable, because there's more people doing something. You've lowered the needed base level skills, and I think that's why we get a lot of what we get in media today. So I remember as a kid, movies would be in theaters for months and months and months and months. They weren't just there, for a month or a few weeks before they became purchasable. Like they were there for a long time. Like they could be there for a couple of years. And almost no movie has that kind of life cycle anymore. And you'll notice that they keep going back in time to those visual concepts that were developed in the 70s and the 80s and 90s. And not so much the modern stuff, which is I think really interesting to think about. I wondered how much that's affected me, because obviously, I was in school when that kind of transition happened, when they shifted away from, all my professors, they were all traditional illustrators, oil and gouache and acrylic and watercolor. Yeah, well, there's the modern audience. There's that's a little bit different thing, where it's they're trying to appease a set of values that are the opposite of what is in Star Wars. So like they're trying to show shades of gray in a lot of the recent Star Wars stuff, where Star Wars is explicitly a good versus evil thing. Like there's a specific effect that being immoral has on people, or loosening your standards, where it degrades your ability to think, it makes you seek shortcuts, and you end up being a dark side person, right? But I think it's less to do about what I'm talking about here is less to do with that, and more to do with those minds going into the work itself, and not that there isn't technically challenging stuff on the production side, mixing digital and traditional, which you're seeing a lot in movies, more traditional and digital effects and cameras and all that. But in the background, almost all concept artwork is done by digital work, and there's a desire for speed. So it's like the thing with AI is like, well, you could put more ideas out faster. Well, I guess, but it's like just because you're eating more more hamburgers from McDonald's does not improve their quality. Like that's just kind of silly. So more does not equal better. It just means more. And that's more of what I'm concerned about. Like, there's a lot of ways of talking about the human experience that I think can be perfectly valid. But like the problem with the woke thing is the same thing you get with, say, like a Christian conservative movie, like a Kevin Sorbo movie, where he's trying to show some set of values related to that, where the story doesn't dictate the outcomes. It's more about getting your point across, that you have a particular set of beliefs or values, and you're trying to demonstrate that to your audience so they feel good about themselves. And that's what we call, really what it is just propaganda. It just has there's different directions you can take that kind of propaganda, whether it's the modern audience that doesn't exist, or the or even trying to appease other audiences. So I think the issue that really run into with the so-called woke group is they're seeking to insert themselves and their experience into the product, where before maybe there was, depending on the character, that could be the case, but mostly what they're trying to do is express a feeling, and the characters kind of, especially in fiction, had their own lives. So Luke Skywalker wasn't necessarily George Lucas. Darth Vader wasn't Ralph McQuarrie. they were trying to create unique characters that lived in a world that was somewhat believable. And when your focus is on a political agenda and trying to force feed that into some other property, it just doesn't ring true with people. So like I know the well, it's like, you go back and you watch like the Lord of the Rings movies and you compare it with the new TV show. I confess I only watched the first like episode and a half of the Lord of the Rings TV show, but like the characters just didn't make any sense in their own context, because they were inserting their version of modernity into them, and all the results is it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't make any sense in the context, and that's where you kind of run into these problems. And so, if you're making your own worlds and your own characters and your proverbial OCs, as the kids call them, like, it shouldn't just be you. You should be able to empathize enough with other people to come up with a fictional person that exists in their world. Well, now you know, right? Well, I guess maybe you'll find out. Well, it's like in those Lord of the Rings shows, right? They show these small groups of people that are very racially diverse. Which, if you're living in some mountain village in the middle of nowhere and you don't really have a lot of contact with the outside world, doesn't make any sense, right? Even if it started out that diverse, in terms of genetics, it would have quickly, over a couple hundred years, merged together, right, to some kind of, combination of everything together. And so that's why that doesn't ring true, is because your experience with the world and how evolution and genetics and location affect things, like, it doesn't make any sense. So it's like the wife of the dwarf king is black, but and there's nothing wrong with being that, but it doesn't make any sense in the context of dwarves because they live underground. And the reason why white people look the way they do is they got less exposure to the sun and lost that pigmentation. So like my family, I'm about as pasty as it gets. Whenever they went north and came to Lithuania, however many thousands of years ago, or however that transition worked, they eventually lost that pigmentation because it wasn't necessary. But that's the problem that these shows have, is they're trying to make other worlds like our own, and that kind of ruins the fantasy of it, where you don't feel like you're going to another place. You feel like you're living in your hometown, which is just kind of takes the fun out of it. Look, I have a student who came in here. But and that's where the problem is. It's not that you couldn't tell stories that are like that, but in its context, it just doesn't make any sense. Well, that's like the what's it, the Latinx thing, Latinx, or however it's supposed to say it properly. It's like, it doesn't make any sense in the context of a Latin language. Like, they don't have that ending on things. Like, it's weird to impose that Western or English standard on another whole set of languages. And it's definitely something that comes out of a Western viewpoint, which is You know, if you want to complain about colonialization, there's a prime example of it. But you know, it's interesting things. Well, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out over the next few years. I'm not too worried about it, but well, yeah, they have those stencils that have like the different shapes on them. Ah, 9:53, huh? About time to go to bed. So that's where my major concerns come in, is just that this attitude, because I've lived overseas, I speak several languages, I have a different kind of cultural experience than a lot of artists and especially Americans have, and it's definitely affected my worldview on things. Now, speaking of electrical, I'm trying to figure out I have this water gauge system in my camper project, and for some reason it stopped working, and I'm trying to figure out where the break in the electrical is. I'll have to pull some things out tomorrow morning to see if I can figure out where the problem is. Because that's annoying. That's not working properly. Yeah, well, I teach concept design drawing at the school, and so it's definitely related to what I do. So, I'm aware of that's a game, but I'm not paying attention. I heard there's I guess a game that came out on the computer. I know it's like a tabletop game or something. So yeah, it's like anything else. Just see how things play out. And it's definitely caused a lot of companies lose a lot of money by over focusing on certain things. So. Yeah, but I think the big problem really is that just people trying to use popular media as a vehicle for putting themselves in media. I think that's where the real kind of issue lies with that. So rather than them, respecting the source material and understanding what it meant and what it's for, by making it more about what their interests are, it kind of breaks it. And they might have said the thing they want to say, but they were saying it to an empty room. So it represents a failure in communication skills. It's like I had students at the last school I was at, and they were doing a project based off of a recent political event in the United States. A year and a half ago or so, but they were wanting to kind of express their anger over it. But the point of the project was they're supposed to put together a PSA that convinces people that disagree with them to their position, or earn their empathy. And so the big thing for me in their project was pushing them in that direction so that they can express how they feel, but in a way that's actually going to hopefully convert other people. Well, it depends on what the actual job is, right? But yeah, it kind of represents a failure of communication when they do that. Because they're not really that interested in telling somebody else's story. They really want a way to tell their own stories. And because they realize, they know that if they were to tell the story that they really want to tell and that's original to themselves, they don't have that built-in audience. And so they're hoping to do is to transfer the meaning that they want through this other medium, convincing others of what they want expressed, and it doesn't matter what that is. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. If you hire someone based on their demographics, it's a way of saying that you didn't feel that they were qualified enough on their own to pursue that opportunity. And it makes it suspect that person doesn't have those qualities when they show up for a job, especially if it was specifically for that. So, you know, that's a big problem. You know, that can really harm the people that others are trying to claim they're trying to help. Well, you know, we'll see what they change. I mean, they brought back Robert Downey Jr., which is interesting. In a different role, but we'll see what that plays out into. If that'll work for them on the long term. I'd find it insulting, but at the same time, my recommendation to anyone that's offered a position based off of that is to take it and try to get as much as they can from that. To, you know, if someone's going to be that shallow in how they treat someone, they should 100% take advantage of those people who are trying to broadcast their own personal morality in those jobs. You know, if someone's hiring you because of what you look like or whatever, what you do with your plumbing, should definitely take full advantage of that. Guilt them into, you know, letting you do less work for more money. You know, get paychecks up faster. Use every guilt tactic you have available to take full advantage. So that's what I would. I always tell people that, like, if someone's like hiring for that and you match with that, like, you should definitely milk it, because they're not going to produce anything quality anyway as a result, and so you might as well get what you can out of things. All right, 10 o'clock, huh? Yep, 10:07 Eastern Time. I used to live in Florida. Yeah, I usually try to stop about 10 p.m. So, maybe go ahead and call it there. I got a bunch done tonight. So I got this panel done, this one partially done, the other one on top's basically finished. Did a bunch of lettering up there. I should probably touch it up. Oh, there you go. You swapped spots. So I'm in Virginia now at VCU. I left Florida, I don't know, a little over a year and a half ago almost. Weather was killing me. I had to get out of there. But yeah, we got much done. All the lettering up there, and got this going here. Got some more lettering to do on these too. Should probably figure that out before I over detail these much further. But goes from I never seen a turtle, but I understand what you mean. And then so I'll put the text over here for what he's done. Maybe we'll put it over here initially. It just gives a lot of room over here. And have him talk here. Or part of it over here. So you flip the tortoise, you reach down, flip the tortoise on its back. Alright, tortoise lays on its back. Or maybe put that down here. Alright, anyway. Everybody have a good night. I'll probably be back tomorrow, we'll see. But probably back in the evening, maybe in the morning, depending on what's going on. But we'll catch you later.